Hi families, I hope that you're all doing well. I wanted to check in with you and see how this week was going with the packet of work that I sent home. Are you elbows deep in Greek mythology yet? Do you know all your phonograms yet? Because your kids all do. No, I just wanted to encourage you that as you've taken on this role of their educator, that you would really lean into that time with them. And kind of piggyback off of some of the things that Mr. Piscura said in the video that he sent out earlier this week about how you're their primary educator. And as much as I adore your children, and I do, nobody knows them better than you do. So I just want to encourage you with that. But as you've taken on kind of some added pressures of being their educator, I just wanted to encourage you to remove the giant pressure that maybe our culture puts on us, or I don't know, it's out there somewhere, of having to entertain our kids all the time, and kind of talk just a little bit about what I think the value of boredom is. Don't fear boredom. It's so good for their brains. The scientists who study our brains say that our brains can't switch over to being creative until we lack the neural stimulation that they crave. So our brains want to be stimulated all the time, and you know this with your kids. And so if there's a screen in front of them, if they're scrolling something or tapping or playing with something on a screen, then their brain is actually getting the neural stimulation that it craves, and it cannot be creative. But when we remove all of those things and give them time, then after a while their brains can seek this neural stimulation from itself. It'll create it for itself. And that's where creativity comes in. So, of course, being a classical school, we want to encourage great values in our kids, like curiosity and perseverance and playfulness and interest and experimentation. And all of those things can happen in our kids when they're given the opportunity to be bored. So please don't take on the role of feeling like you have to fill every minute of their day with something. We do this often at my house, where I call it the boredom hump, and it's kind of like terrible for a little while, but then it gets so much better once they get over that hump. And I think that's kind of when their brain does make the switch over to being creative. So you have to really get in it for a little bit. So these are the things that I would encourage you to do, and I'll tell you how it works at my house, and I'm curious to see if it's similar with yours. So what I do is I first make sure that every screen in the house is turned off, and then I just go about my business. I do my dishes, I read my book, or I lesson plan for my class or something like that. And my kids do terrible things. They might fight with each other. They come up and they tell me they're bored, and all of those things that kids do. But I just wait it out. And after a while, after the turmoil, then eventually they'll go off into their room and they'll find something peaceful and wonderful to do. And that is when I know that we've come over that hump and that things can be good again. So I would really encourage you to do that this week. Make it your personal experiment. Turn off all the screens. Make sure that they have things that are accessible to them. My kids know where to find their crayons and their paper and their Play-Doh. They've just pulled out Play-Doh at the table right now, which is gonna be great. So the payoff of that, of course, is that messes will be made, but I promise you it will be worth it. Worth it for their own brains, worth it for your own personal sanity during the day of not having to tell them what to do all the time or entertain them, and just for their character as a whole. So let them fight first, let them make their messes first, and the payoff, of course, of creativity is mess. I can testify to that. But then they'll discover something. It might be drawing, maybe it's Lego, and it can be something that can really draw them in for a long time, and in fact for years. And that's how we see all the greats who were inventors turned into these inventors, because they were given the opportunity to be bored, as we put it. So when they tell you this week, Mom, I'm bored, Grandpa, I'm bored, I would just really encourage you to not give them any alternatives. I like to say, wonder what you can do about that, and just let that go. But I give them zero offers, zero options to fill their time. I make sure that they have to find it on their own, and I promise you they will.